brothers and respected elders, we come from Allah, and to Allah we all have to return. وَالَّذِي ذَرَأَكُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَإِلَيْهِ تُحْشَرُونَ. Allah is the one who has spread you out in different parts of the world, but you all will be raised in His presence. We will all be raised back to Allah. When a person is about to die and angels come to take away his soul, if he's been a good person, the angels, they say, Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutma'inna, O you content soul, irji'i ila rabbik, return to your Lord, radiyatan mardiya, happily in a manner that Allah will please you as well. Radiyatan mardiya, you will be happy with Allah in that meeting, and Allah will be happy with you. And when the person, a good person, whose nafs has become mutma'inna, most people their nafs are nafs lawama, and some people their nafs has become nafs ammara, and they then give so much importance and preference to their nafs that they literally make their nafs, their desires, their emotions, their lust, their gods. Allah says, أَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَى. Have you not seen that person who has made his desires his God? And another place Allah says, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ وَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَىٰ عِلْمٍ. And a person who makes his desires his God, then in spite of having knowledge, then Allah misleads that person. His knowledge does not do him any good, and does not benefit him, and does not save him from being misguided, because his nafs is so corrupt, and that his nafs then gets the better of him. So people with the nafs ammara, some people with the nafs lawama, la uqsimu biyawm al-qiyamati wa la uqsimu bin nafs lawama. أَيَحْسَبُ الْإِنسَانُ أَن لَّن نَّجْمَعَ عِظَامًا. Does a man think that Allah will not gather him again? When a person dies, people pray janazah over him, and they take him and they bury him, and people think that their bones rot away in their graves. As someone came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam carrying an old bone once, and he put the old bone in between his hands, and he rubbed that old bone, and it crumbled into dust, and then he blew it, and then he said, "Oh Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do you think that your Lord will raise this up again?" Allah says, وَضَرَبَ لَنَا مَثَلًا وَنَسِيَ خَلْقًا قَالَ مَنْ يُحْيِي الْعِظَامَ وَهِيَ رَمِيمٌ. And look at this man, how he compares me. Allah says, and look at the example that he's given for me. He thinks I can't raise him again, and he's forgotten how he was created, how I made him. وَنَسِيَ خَلْقًا قَالَ مَنْ يُحْيِي الْعِظَامَ وَهِيَ رَمِيمٌ. Allah says, قُلْ يُحْيِيهَا الَّذِي أَنْشَأَهَا أَوَّلَ مَرَّةٍ. Tell him, let him know that the Lord who created him the first time, يُحْيِيهَا الَّذِي أَنْشَأَهَا أَوَّلَ مَرَّةٍ وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ خَلْقٍ عَلِيمٌ. He is well aware of what He's created, and He is able to gather people again and raise people again. بَلْ هُوَ الْخَلَّاقُ الْعَلِيمُ. He is such a powerful creator. إِنَّمَا أَمْرُهُ إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا أَن يَقُولَ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُونُ. When He wants something to be, He simply says be, and it's done. فَسُبْحَانَ الَّذِي بِيَدِهِ مَلَكُوتُ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. How glorious He is, in whose control is the kingdom of the heavens and the earth, and all affairs, and to Him you all have to return. And these are the final verses of Surah Yasin. Allahu Akbar. So I was saying, we all belong to Allah. Whether people be from Asia, from Africa, whatever nationality, whatever color, whatever background, whatever status. Ya ayyuhan nasu inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha waj'alnakum shu'uban wa qaba'ila lita'arafu. Oh you people, we made you from one man and one woman. And Allahu Akbar. And Allah has made us in different clans and families and nations, and we speak different languages so we can get along with one another. Allahu Akbar. And we can associate ourselves with one another. But inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. And the man closer to Allah and honorable in the eyes of Allah is the one who has the most taqwa. You will all be gathered in front of your Lord. Many people, subhanallah, how they live. It's not haram for a Muslim to have a good life. قُلْ مَنْ حَرَّمَ زِينَةَ اللَّهِ. Allah says, tell them, who has made it unlawful for people to enjoy the goodness of this life? قُلْ مَنْ حَرَّمَ زِينَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي أَخْرَجَ لِعِبَادِهِ وَالطَّيِّبَاتِ مِنَ الرِّزْقِ قُلْ هِيَ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا خَالِصَةً يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. It's because of the people of Iman that everybody gets what they get. It's because of one person who believes in Allah. لا تقوم الساعة حتى يقال في الأرض Allah, Allah. As long as there are people who just know the name of Allah in this world, the world will not end. The sun will continue to shine and rise from the east, set in the west, the stars will twinkle and glow, and the winds will blow and the rivers will flow, and the trees and the plants will grow. But Allahu Akbar, when there is not a single man left to chant the name of Allah, doesn't matter how advanced the technology may become, doesn't matter how high the buildings will rise, doesn't matter how much people will advance, but Allah will say to Israfil, Israfil, you blow. And then وَيَوْمَ يُنْفَخُ فِي الصُّورِ فَصَعِقَ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ. When Israfil will blow, Allahu Akbar, and then إِذَا السَّمَاءُ انشَقَّتْ إِذَا السَّمَاءُ انفطرت إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ وَإِذَا النُّجُومُ انكَدَرَتْ. The Prophet ﷺ said, if you want to know what that day of Qiyamah will be like, then read these three surahs. إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ إِذَا السَّمَاءُ انفطرت إِذَا السَّمَاءُ انشَقَّتْ. Allahu Akbar. When the sky will fall and will split. وَإِذَا الْبِحَارُ سُجِّرَتْ. When the oceans will be set on fire. How do oceans burn? Allahu Akbar. Have you ever tried and pour water on burning coal, something very hot? What happens? It turns to steam. The scientists, they say the core of the earth is so hot, full of lava. And so when there's a severe earthquake, when there's a tsunami or something, and the plates holding the oceans and the earth, when they tilt slightly or they move, it causes tsunamis and earthquakes. So when a little bit of movement causes so much havoc, إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا. Allahu Akbar. When the earth will be shaken as much as it can be shaken. Allahu Akbar. When not just plates will slip over one another, when they will come apart. Allah, all that water, when it pours down into the core and the oceans become steam. Allahu Akbar. And this is possible scientifically. But the Quran said 1400 years ago, وَإِذَا الْبِحَارُ سُجِّرَتْ. When the oceans will be set on fire. How? إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا. When the earth is shaken as much as it can be shaken, and it will split and tear and cracks will appear everywhere. Allahu Akbar. Then you can imagine what it will be like. وَإِنَّا لَجَاعِلُونَ مَا عَلَيْهَا صَعِيدًا جُرُزًا. When it will all be flattened. Allahu Akbar. Allah Qadir. Allah Qadir. Allah Qadir. كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذي الجلال والإكرام. Everything is destined to perish. He is the only one who will remain. هو الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن وهو بكل شيء عليم.